Hey guys, Jet888 here. It's November 3rd today. What day is that? Friday. Today's Friday. And I'm going to just share a little bit of the conversation I'm having between this Crystal Miles, who her anagram's name is Misty Recalls. And she's working with the council and committees, city council, with the vector control people using the poisonous bear, the delta methrin that I've been sharing the last video, that kills bees, kills fish. So I get a response back from a Laura Young. Good morning and thank you for reaching out to Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control District. We have noted your concerns regarding the truck application of pesticides regarding mosquitoes infected with West Nile virus in Orange County. Our agency will share these concerns with your city representative. My city representative, isn't that funny? So their agency is going to share these concerns with my city representative. So in regard to West Nile virus, she said that she's included some references for me to review, a report from the American Academy of Microbiology, WNV fact sheet, and the CDC's information, which I'm going to look at, National Institute of Health, West Nile virus, biology, transmission, and human infection, right there. I'll leave that link too. So she states, if you would like to request specific data from Orange County Mosquito and Vector Control District, you can use the Freedom of Information Act and place a public records request. So these people can tell you that there's some disease out there that you need to be sprayed with some poisons, but they are not instantly responsible for showing, well, they are, but they don't show the actual documented proof that what they're saying is true. And the burden of proof is on them because they're stating that something exists, and so they're going to do this to you. So they should have documented proof of why, the justification, which there is none. Okay, so I'm going to look at this for the first time. Report from the American Academy of Microbiology. So of course they send you a crow. How do you like that? A crow. You know, the flock of a crow, it's called a murder. So let's go look at this. Oh, sorry, first I wanted to look at, here's the NCBI. So it's the National Institute of Health. So I'm going to look at this real quick because I've already kind of seen this a little bit. So to control West Nile virus, WNV, it is necessary to know which mosquitoes are able to transmit this virus. Therefore, we evaluated the WNV vector potential of several North American mosquito species. They give the species two, they say, which was isolated in New York in 2000, were efficient laboratory vectors. Let's see, from Florida, were competent but only moderately effective, efficient vectors. And this other one, Coquillettia, whatever, perturbans, was an inefficient laboratory vector. As WNV, West Nile virus, extends its range, exposure of additional mosquito species may alter its epidemiology. So they talk about isolation of this species. Isolation studies provide preliminary evidence of involvement of several mosquito species in transmission cycle. However, it is necessary to determine if any of these species were able to transmit by bite before they can be implicated. But so let me show you the isolation studies. So they're also blaming birds for being amplifying hosts of those mosquitoes as enzootic, whatever, vectors, based on their association with these other arboviruses. What do people say about association or causation does not make association? What is that saying? Association does not cause causation, or what is that? I can't remember. But this says, although it has not yet spread to areas where these mosquitoes are found, but they're still going to try to blame the birds. Okay, so they conducted laboratory studies to evaluate vector competence, so materials and methods. So they've been implicated, not proven though, but now look at this. This is virus and virus assay. The WNV strain, Crow, they named it Crow, used was isolated from a dead crow found in the Bronx, New York during an episodic, whatever, in 1999. It had been passaged once in varicella culture. Do you know what that means? When you put it, that's a monkey cell, monkey kidney cell. So when you put something that you consider a pathogen, when you say you isolated it, which is what they need to do, but then they passaged it once in varicella culture, that means immediately they no longer have a purified thing. They've mixed this, whatever they called or considered a strain, whatever they say was isolated, they now just tainted it by putting it in a vat of varicella culture. So isn't that funny? Okay, so this is talk about the Green New Deal. This says verocells are a lineage of cells used in cell cultures. The vero lineage was isolated from kidney epithelial, that's skin, epithelial cells, well, epithelia, the outer. So epithelium refers to layers of cells that line hollow organs and glands. Like in your blood vessels, you have epithelial cells. So they used these epithelial cells that they isolated from a kidney extracted from an African green monkey, right? So you really think that this African green monkey really has green cells? Okay, so they put it in the varicella culture, then stalks of virus at a concentration of 10 to the 4.2 whatever power was prepared in a standard diluent, so 10% heat inactivated fetal bovine, that's a cow serum in the medium, whatever, with Earl's salt. So now you got salts in there too. And then triturated mosquito suspensions. That's all chewed up, like ground up, like you put it in a blender and you, that's like putting an elephant in a blender and then taking pieces from it and saying, let me see the elephant. And chicken blood samples were tested for infectious virus by plaque assays, whatever, verocells is described. Let's see. Okay, so that's our first overlay. Then the mosquitoes were allowed to feed on 2 to 3 day old leghorn. Remember that guy? Remember leghorn, foghorn? Isn't that funny too? Because that fox has plaid on, but leghorn, foghorn. Okay, so then mosquitoes were allowed to feed on the leghorn, foghorn baby chicks that had been inoculated. So they have been inoculated. They injected something with this crap up here that they put up earlier, the verocells and the bovine fetal serum. So they inoculated these chickens with something that they would not have in their system to begin with. And then it says immediately after the mosquitoes fed, blood was drawn from the jugular vein of each chicken. And then the blood suspensions were frozen at negative 70 degrees Celsius. So that's 94 degrees, negative 94 degrees Fahrenheit. Have any of you lived in anything like that? Negative 94 degrees Fahrenheit? So basically after feeding on these vermic chickens, which they wouldn't have been that in a natural state at all, they had to be injected. After feeding on these chickens, engorged mosquitoes were transferred to a screen-topped cardboard cage and held in a concentration camp with a photo period. After an incubation period of 12 to 14 days, the mosquitoes were allowed to feed again. on 1 to 2 day old chickens, either individually or in small groups, to determine if they could transmit virus by bite. Immediately after the transmission attempt, the mosquitoes were killed by freezing. Their feeding status was determined, and their legs and bodies were triturated separately. So they basically chopped them up too. My God, these people love to destroy things. So infection was determined by recovery of virus from the mosquito tissue suspension. If virus was recovered from its body, but not its legs, the mosquito was considered to have a non-disseminated infection limited to its midgut. If virus was recovered from body and the body and leg suspensions, the mosquito was considered to have a disseminated infection. But first of all, how in real life, vivo study, how would a chicken get the bovine calf fetal, like the bovine calf kidney cells and fetal, God, how to get this mixture of all this crap in its system in order for, a true study would have been to, if you wanted to use all that mixed up crap, just let the mosquitoes drink directly from it, and then you would prove that this crap that you made, that you put in your supposed purified culture, that purified, that crap that you made, if the mosquito was allowed to suck on that and then bite you, then that could be proven that it causes a West Nile virus. But there's no way a chicken would have that naturally in its system. So this right here, it doesn't need to go any further. It's bunk. This whole stuff is bunk right here. So basically what these people are kind of proving is that their little mixture of a fetal cell culture, that's your green monkey kidney stuff, which is why I'm now pretty much convinced it's called the Green New Deal. Just for kicks, I looked at the anagram for African green monkey, and it's emerge crona infancy, finance ye crona germ. When I looked at that one, finance ye crona germ, krona is also the basic monetary unit of Sweden. And you know what happens in Sweden? Remember the whole Stockholm syndrome? It says it describes the psychological condition of a victim who identifies with and empathizes with their captor or abuser and their goals. So like when we all ran to go get the needle crafting, isn't that sort of funny? Well, in a sad way. This gives 4 stages of Stockholm syndrome. I know I'm getting off topic here, but it says these are 4 key components that characterize Stockholm syndrome. A hostage's development of positive feelings towards their captor. So remember when we were all like rooting them on and stuff? Remember that? Well, this is one funny thing. This guy, he writes, he's not Stockholm. He says, historians will look at videos like this in an effort to try to explain how millions of people suffered from collective madness. This is actually really good to see these responses because no one is buying it anymore. So I'm glad. Anyhow, it made money for someone, but back to the whole monkey kidney vero cells. So in order to show any kind of virulence, they had to inject chickens with this blood suspension stuff that they used. They had to put it in their vein of each chicken immediately. So it's ridiculous. I'll leave you guys to study, because if you really sit here and look at how they proved some kind of infection or transmission, you'll see that it has zero real scientific base to it. This one part states, to examine viral transmission more efficiently, some of the unfed mosquitoes were inoculated intrathoracically, that's like in their throat, with this viral suspension containing that crap that they made, and held 7 to 14 days and allowed to feed on 1 to 2 day-old chickens. Mosquitoes and blood specimens from these chicks were processed as described for the orally exposed mosquitoes. So in order for them, for the mosquitoes to even get anything, they had to inject them too, as well as injecting the victim of the chickens. So you would never, chickens, first of all, probably would never have, there's also a huge difference, sorry I interrupted myself, there's a huge difference between being injected with something and consuming it or eating it, because if it goes directly into your body, like you're injected, your first line of defense is like your digestive system besides your skin. But if you're going to ingest something, that's different. That would be in your stomach, and then you have other things like your digestive juices to protect you from what other pathogens you have. And then if you're going to be injected with something, that's not like if you walk by someone, like they're trying to prove with this last Rovity thing, that thing, people would walk by someone, they wouldn't be injected by them. So there's a huge, this is a huge corrupt thing that's going on. Anyhow, I'll let it go. But for now, I'm just letting you all know that I'm kind of corresponding back and forth with these people who just want you to believe everything you read. And initially, when they talk about the crow also being dead, how did the crow get whatever they're calling West Nile? None of it makes sense. So just in a nutshell here, I'm just going to respond back. So funny that if you have to literally take a WNV, West Nile virus strain, from a dead crow, that means a necrotic, something with necrotic tissues. It's dead. So of course it's going to be somewhat necrotic and pathogenic, basically. Because I don't think that mosquitoes bite dead crows or dead anything. Bathe them in green monkey kidney cells, then put them in inactivated fetal bovine serum, then put them in an Earl's salt solution, which is an isotonic saline solution, and antibiotics. I think that alone, I think if you injected someone with that mixture alone into their system, they might be very sick. This is basically Frankenscience. Oh, and funny, look at this too. Previous laboratory studies indicate that a number of North American mosquito species could serve as vectors of WNV. Yeah, if you're calling WNV that slop that I just mentioned above, and then you inject it, maybe. Our study indicated that several additional Culex species and something perturbans, whatever, are potential vectors of WNV. The viremias used in our study of something blood are consistent with levels considered to be low to moderate viremias for hooded crows and house sparrows in Egypt. Hooded crows and house sparrows in Egypt, and experimentally infected North American house sparrows, oh my God, and other passerine birds. One last funny note, see these little green monkey guys that don't have green kidneys, but they say they have green kidney Vero cells? I'm not going to pretend that I know how to say this. Chlorocebus sebaeus. Okay, guess what the anagram for that is? A school barbecues us. Wow, this is going into a whole nother chapter. Yeah, about that. Best day ever.